This lesson will show you how to simplify radicals with division. Regarding the properties of square roots, when you have square roots and you're using division, whether there's a large square root symbol, radical symbol, or two small ones, it's exactly the same. They're completely interchangeable and vice versa. So if you were to see a problem that said 1 over 4 all in one big square root, you can split it up into two individuals, or vice versa, if it were in two small ones, you could write it as one large one. They're completely interchangeable. Sometimes they help in different ways, but we'll get there. Division properties of square roots. Divide outside numbers with outside numbers, inside numbers with inside numbers. By that, what I mean is if you're dealing with, let's see, 6 square root 8 over 3 square root 2. These are your outside numbers. Divide them as you always would. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Then you can handle the inside numbers. Square root of 8 divided by the square root of 2 is the square root of 4. And then, of course, we'd have to simplify. The square root of 4 is 2, so we'd end up with an answer of 4. So outside numbers with outside numbers. Some helpful hints. Sometimes it's nice to simplify all your perfect squares first. If there aren't any perfect squares, try putting the fraction in lowest terms. For instance, if you're dealing with a problem like 3 over 9, why not simplify the fraction to 1/3? So you can talk about the square root of 1 over the square root of 3. Not the greatest example, but again, we'll get there. Okay, simplify completely. Helpful hint that I just mentioned was simplify square roots. The square root of 25 can be done. The square root of 36 can be done. You may not need to rewrite it into two separate, but it can be helpful. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 36 is 6. That one's done. Letter B can be handled in multiple ways. What I would suggest, type 12 over 75 in your calculator. Just try it. 12 ABC 75 in my calculator gives me 4 over 25. And I'm keeping the square root symbols because I haven't really done anything with them yet. Well, the square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 25 is 5. The other way to have handled this problem is if you wouldn't have realized you could simplify the fraction, you could go ahead and simplify the top. The square root of 12 breaks down into 4 and 3, 2 and 2, so 2 square root 3, over the square root of 75 breaks down into 25 and 3, 5 and 5, so you end up with 5 square root 3. If you notice, square root of 3 divided by the square root of 3, that's the exact same thing. You end up with 2/5. So regardless of whether I simplified the entire fraction, meaning 12 over 75, whether I handled the square root of 12 and then handled the square root of 75, you get the same answer. I think that is why students find dividing to be rather frustrating, because there are multiple ways to handle things. But again, if your math is correct, it should all end up with the same answer. Looking at letter C. You can try simplifying 13 over 49, but I don't think it'll work. I'm going to rewrite it as two separate, and again, you don't have to, but it kind of helps my brain compartmentalize. The square root of 13, well, 13's prime, it won't break down. The square root of 49 is 7. Done. All right, letter D, the square root of 20. Well, 20 can break down into 4 and 5, 2 and 2, so I'm going to get 2 square root 5 over the square root of 12 is 4 and 3, 2 and 2, 2 square root 3. Outside numbers with outside numbers, so here we are done. Now I'm going to tell you in the next video or in the next lesson, we're not allowed stopping with the square root on the bottom, but for today's lesson, we're going to go ahead and leave it. But please know that ultimately this problem won't be done or isn't done currently. We still have to finish something, just not today. Letter E, square root of 32 over 72. I'm going to check in my calculator, 32 ABC 72. Ooh, check this out. If I do 32 ABC 72 in my calculator, it simplifies into 4 over 9. I can do the square root of 4, and I can do the square root of 9. If you don't see it that way, 32 breaks down into, and I'm going to kind of skip some steps here. The square root of 32 breaks down into 4 square root 2. The square root of 72 breaks down into, let's see, 72 is 6 square root 2. Those would end up canceling. These can be simplified into 2/3. All right, square root of 60 over the square root of 5. Here's a common mistake that students make. They see 60 over 5 and they instantly in their calculator want to do 60 divided by 5. That's not going to work here. Notice this is the square root of 60 over a plain normal 5. I actually have to go down and break up the square root of 60, which if I were to do my factor tree gives me 2 square root 15. That's just a normal 5. It's not the square root of 5, it's a plain 5. 2 over 5 in my calculator doesn't reduce, and I can't put 5 into the square root of 15 because, again, square root, normal number, so the answer here is 2 square root 15 over 5. That would be simplest form. Letter G, 32 over 50. They're both in square roots. I'm going to use that ABC button on my calculator quick just to see if they reduce. They do. So the square root of 32 over 50 reduces to the square root of 16 over 25. So my answer is 4 over 5. If you don't see it that way, I'm going to do it a second way. The square root of 32, if you use your factor tree, will give you 4 square root 2. And the square root of 50, if you use your factor tree, would give you 5 square root 2. So your square roots would cancel, leaving you with 4 over 5. Either way, you get the same answer. Letter H. All right, looking at these, I see the square root of 50 over the square root of 2. Because they're both square roots, I can go ahead and divide those. 50 divided by 2 is 25, but this is the square root of 25 because if you were to take those two numbers and divide, you haven't actually used the square root yet. So this is where maybe rewriting it as one big one can help. Regardless, you get the square root of 25, whose answer is 5. Letter I, it's one big square root with a fraction on the inside. 88 over 11 simplifies to 8. This square root symbol needs to stay with us because all we did was simplify the fraction. We haven't actually handled the square root yet. So the square root of 8 simplifies to 2 square root 2. And then lastly, letter I. I'm going to double check 12 ABC 27 breaks down to 4/9. So this turns into 4 over 9, which is 2/3. If you didn't see it that way, the square root of 12 is 2 square root 3. Square root of 27 is 3 square root 3. Either way, I get 2/3. We're almost done, believe it or not. Your fun is coming to an end. I have a handful of extra practice. I'm going to go ahead and pause my video and give these a shot, and I suggest you do the same. Oh, check that out. This one is the same as it was on your previous page. So I'm going to go ahead and pause my video, do the same please, and then check your answers. All right, so here are the 4 that I just did. Square root 25 divided by square root 9. I could do both of those. Square root of 25 was 5, square root of 9 was 3. This was the same as it was on the previous slide, but what the heck, I did it anyway. The answer should be 2/5. The third one down here, 10 square root 2 over 5 square root 3. In purple, I circled the two outside numbers. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Square root 2 divided by square root 3 doesn't simplify any further. Please note that for sake of this video, we're done, but this problem is still going to need, it's called to be rationalized, which I haven't showed you how to do yet, so that problem's not technically done. We'll hit that on in the next video. And then square root of 5 can't be done, square root of 16 is 4. I hope that helps. If you have any questions, please let me know.